Hi and welcome to Quilty Pleasures, and this is our Saturday sampler. So we're going to be doing block 8. I know we're not on 8, but I wanted to give you your applique to do first, and you can prep it for the whole quilt, so I'll explain. So right now we have this whole beautiful kit here for you, as well as this green that is already cut on bias for you. So this is what you're going to be picking up. Here's your instruction sheet so you know what you're getting. So you're going to jump to month 8, and all you're going to cut right now is your background. In your cream, you have 4 of the center squares, which will look like this somewhat. You can choose your own colors from your kit, but you're going to make 4 9-inch squares. So this is a 9-inch square. Now here's your applique block here. You'll see that this is for your squares. This is going to be for your border. We're not doing this today because you don't have your cream yet for your setting kit, but you can prep all your leaves and all your flowers because it's all right here in your kit. So we did that early for you, but I wanted you to get time to do these blocks. So let's get started. Right here, we have our strip that goes around, which is here. And what I do is I use a bias maker, which we have here in the shop. And this is instructions on it. It's a 1/2-inch strip that you cut bias. Remember, this is already bias, so you're just going to cut strips off the side. And you're just going to run it through here. You have to use a little pin to get it started. Really easy. I spray my fabric with a little bit of starch. Okay, that's watered down. We have that here in the shop, and you can make it whatever strength you want. It's pretty awesome stuff. So we know here at these big circles there's going to be flowers, so you don't have to make it all the way around. See how I have cuts in here? Because you're going to put a flower on top of it. So if you want, you can just go like this. I do it right on the paper because we need to get this curve. So I'm with the starch on there, it's not going to burn. I'm going to bring it around here. I'm going right on my design, and I'm going to stop, and there you go. I'm going to cut that. Nice sharp scissors. And then I can take this piece. Here's our applique block here, and I traced out where this needs to go. And I'm going to take my glue here, the Roxanne's glue, and I am just going to put a little dot around. Come on, baby. Put some dots around. Get that down. And there we go. Voila. I'm putting it right on my line because all my leaves and flowers are going to be covering that. Nice, right? So you're going to do that to all 4 of your blocks first before you put your flowers and your leaves on. So that's one way of doing it. Next, I'm going to show you how to make your leaves and your flowers. There's several different applique ways. My favorite is I use this pattern ease paper, which is washable, and all I do is, sorry, it's upside down. There you go. Pattern ease, we have that here. And we're going to draw a leaf on there. So I used my pattern. I drew a whole bunch of leaves. And here's my leaf I drew just with a pencil. And then I sewed by machine. See the cream there? Here, if I turn it over, you can really see it. Okay. And then I'm going to cut open, after I cut it at the edge, I'm going to cut it open. I just use a seam ripper real quick. Cut it open, use some sharp scissors. And I'm going to give it a little trim around the edges just to get those curves open. See how that is? And I'll turn it out. So I love our little tool here that I use to get it. You got to be careful not to poke through the paper. So I have one turned out here. Do it, do it, do it. I don't have one turned out. Anyway, so we're going to turn this out, which is like these here. Okay, I could pop one of these off because I just put a little bit of glue on there. So once you put that cut in there, you can go around and just push against the fabric Don't push against the paper because you could pop through. See how I just did that? You don't want to pop through like that. It's not near the edge, so it'll work out. And then you're going to glue them where you want them. So that's one way of doing it with the paper. I've done all my flowers that way. Okay, I've done flowers. Here's a flower that I did the same way. And I use a 1.6 stitch length when I go around because it needs to be a tight stitch for it to turn out well. Okay, and I don't back stitch, I just keep going and then I'll just sew past my original stitch. So that's how you can do your flowers. That's how you can do your circles. I've tried to do the circle other ways. This is a good way, or else you can put it, I've tried a dime. I put a dime on there and I ironed around a dime. That was challenging. I think this is the best way. Or there are other ways, which is called heat and bond, which we carry in the shop. If you want to do heat and bond, you draw the figure, you iron it to your fabric. You're going to iron it on the back side. With batik, it's hard to tell if there's a back and a front. You're just going to iron it to the back side. Oh, I used a disappearing pin. So then you're going to cut it out and you're going to fuse it to your background. But you have to sew around your edges. So I used a cream so you could see. I just used a blanket stitch, 2.5, 2.5. You could do a straight stitch with a coordinating thread. You could also do a satin stitch. It's up to you, but it is called raw edge applique. So that's one way of doing it. Another way, which I found was kind of fun. Now we have these stars that we're going to be doing. I used freezer paper. This is called the freezer paper method. So with freezer paper, you're going to draw out your flower or your star. So I did a star, and the freezer paper has a shiny side. That shiny side will actually iron to your fabric. And I'm going to just give a little trim right here. You see how I did a 1/4 inch from the edge? I'm just going to do a little bit here, so that when I turn at those points, there's a little less fabric trying to turn over. So on this, we're actually going to use a paintbrush, which is cool. And in here, I just have some of our starch. You're going to want to starch your edges here. Just get them wet. Not too wet, just enough to help it get over the edge, because you're going to fold it over the paper. So what I do is I'm going to start here at this point. You can hear it sizzling. And then I'm just going to keep moving it over. Your little stiletto here is great to hold it in place. Now I have a fine point that's going to be up here. And if I use this properly, I could find that point. I'm going to flip it back. See that? Gotta be careful not to burn your fingers, which I've been known to do. And we're going to get that edge down, going to get that corner, and there we go. So I'm going to show you this one that I've done. So when I go to applique this down with my applique needles, I'm going to just probably sew this to here, and then I will needle this under. That'll lay under, and then I'll continue sewing here. So I have some sewn here, and I used some thread that you could see how small your stitches can be when you're doing the applique. So I've done that. So I would do that with the star. With the star, you have to take your paper out to applique that down. So we would use our Roxanne's glue to glue that in place. I use Thread Magic for my thread that's cotton. I also use this really cool clover tool because with these applique needles, the eyes are so small, I don't have good eyesight. So I'm going to use this side for cotton. This side is for silk or 100 weight thin thread, which we also have silk thread in the shop if you want to use just one color, which is, it's almost clear. It is clear. That's fun to use too. So that's how I do my applique. You know where we are if you have any questions. So we hope you have a happy quilty day. Take care.